This is culturally inappropriate.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday, January 13th, 2025. Good to be alive here on the Flex Zone podcast. We got an emergency live stream. We got breaking news out of Pittsburgh. We got breaking news out of DeCosta. As we just heard from owner Steve Bisciotti and general manager Eric DeCosta. The Steelers and Mike Tomlin are no longer a thing. Mike Tomlin stepping down. And I'm here with my guy, the social media producer, the man who makes the streams pristine, Big Raj. A lot to get into. How you feeling, my guy?
No water, just me.
Finish him, Daddy.
I'm feeling good, man. Just listened to the press conference from Steve Bisciotti and Eric DeCosta. Steve didn't miss no words. He meant what he said. He put his foot down. But yeah, we're gonna get into it though.
Let the people know what to do if they're watching us right now on YouTube and that.
If you're on YouTube right now, please hit the like and subscribe button. Check us out, Flex Zone Podcast. This is what we do. But yeah, this is a afternoon breakdown of a press conference and some breaking news.
All right, let's go to Pittsburgh real quick. Raj, you kind of called it last night. You blew a kiss to him. Goodbye. After an historic 19-season run in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin just informed his team that he is stepping down as Steelers head coach. They will now, the Steelers, be looking for only their fourth head coach since 1969. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, and now their fourth. Raj, 19 seasons of Tomlin, he's gone. 18 seasons of Harbaugh, he's gone. The two longest tenured coaches gone. Now that mantle goes to Andy Reid. What are your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts is he had a great time in Pittsburgh. He accomplished a lot. You know what I'm saying? 19 years for a black man to be a head coach for one organization is great. He gave us a lot of hell as Ravens fans. But I think it's time, man. They haven't had this team that they needed to win with. They didn't have the quarterback to win with. They haven't bounced back from Ben Roethlisberger. He's been retired for, I think, 5-6 years now. And they just been going nowhere and nowhere fast. So I think it's time for him to step down from that place, get a breather, maybe go somewhere else, maybe sit out a year, regain some of that focus, and just chill out, man. I mean, he's done everything that he needed to do for Pittsburgh. And I think it's time for them to move in a different direction. And it's time for Mike Tomlin to move in a different direction. But wherever he goes, he will be fine. He's a leader of men. People respect him around the league, just like John Harbaugh. And I think it was a good time for him to leave the coaching business. Well, not coaching business, but just Pittsburgh in general.
19 seasons, never had a losing season, as we know. 193, 114-2 regular season record. Super Bowl 43 champion, but hasn't won a playoff game. Raj, we pulled up the graphic last night. 7 consecutive playoff losses on the list with Marvin Lewis, Marty Schottenheimer. He would have to be traded because he was not fired. Do you think a team maybe gives up the draft capital? Maybe Pittsburgh finally starts to tear off the Band-Aid, rip it off, and maybe go through a full rebuild, get some draft picks, try to go get a quarterback, which they haven't had, and do something.
Yeah, I think it's time for them to trade him. I'm pretty sure a lot of teams would love to have his services. I'm pretty sure he'll probably be able to pick the team that he wants to go to. And yeah, it's time to build a new, man. Like, they're going nowhere. That team is old. We saw it last night. Cam Hayward is done. TJ Watt is on his, I ain't gonna say he's on his last leg, but he's getting older. A lot of the veterans is old on that squad. Aaron Rodgers is not coming back. They need a whole new squad. They need running backs. They need quarterback. Need some wide receivers. DK couldn't do it because he's not a true number one. So they need everything at this point. So I blow it up. Trade him to wherever team he wants to go to. Take the draft picks. Hire the right coach that can build with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and try again in the coming years. But they got to blow it up in Pittsburgh, man. They're going, like I said, they're in no man's land. What do they got, the 22nd pick in the draft right now, or something like that?
I think 21, I believe.
21.
Yes.
Okay, well, like I said, they're not in a position to get a quarterback. So they gotta start over, and they gotta start over fresh. But this is not a surprise to me. I said before yesterday that he needed to go, especially after the way you lost. And he could start somewhere else if he wants.
Real quick now, looking at all the coaching vacancies, 3 out of the 4 teams in the AFC North, Steelers, Ravens, Browns, got Giants, Titans, Falcons, Cardinals, Raiders, Dolphins, over 25% of the league, Raj. Are you loving this crop of available jobs, and how you feeling about them? And any names you want to see go anywhere in particular? I know the Ravens interviewed more people today, which we'll get to.
Yeah. I mean, this you ain't gonna probably never see nothing like this again, because it's rare that the Steelers and Ravens, let go of their head coaches. Giants is an organization that's been known for success in the past as well. Falcons have been stable, so there's a lot of good head coaching jobs that are available. Mike Flores is going to have a chance somewhere, maybe. Clint Kubiak's definitely going to get picked up. It's going to be very competitive, just like it was if you're trying to win a championship, trying to get a head coach now. So, I mean, I'm not sure where anybody's going to go at, but I know for a fact that a lot of new head coaches will be hired this go around. I just hope that the Ravens pick the right one.
Here's a statement from Art Rooney, the second of Coach Mike Tomlin. During our meeting today, Coach Tomlin informed me that he has decided to step down as our head coach. Obviously, I'm extremely grateful for Mike and all the hard work that he has done, dedication and success we've shared over the last 19 years. It is hard for me to put into words the level of respect and appreciation I have for Coach Tomlin. He got at the franchise to our 6th Super Bowl championship, and he made the playoffs 13 times during his tenure, including winning the AFC North 8 times in his career, including this past year. His track record of never having a losing season in 19 years will likely never be duplicated. My family and I and everyone connected to the Steelers management are forever grateful for the passion and dedication Mike Tomlin has devoted to Steelers football. Art Rooney II. We know about the Rooney Rule. We know the Rooneys don't play, Raj, and they don't fire coaches. And like you said, you don't see this often in your lifetime.
Right. So, nice little statement. Nice little parting of ways. He didn't get fired. He just decided to step down, and it doesn't look bad on it doesn't look bad on him. But I'm pretty sure we'll get to what Steve Bisciotti had to say about his letting go of certain head coach. But but yeah, it was a nice little departure from the Steelers, from Mike Tomlin. And like I said, he's earned the right to go wherever he wants to go at. If he doesn't want to coach for a little bit, he can do that as well. But he did a great job in Pittsburgh. They were very, very tough to play, and he continued the tradition that Bill Cowher left behind. So that's the Steeler way, and that's the way it's going to be until for forever, I guess.
Mike Tomlin has a statement. After much thought and reflection, I've decided to step down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This organization has been a huge part of my life for many years, and it has been an absolute honor to lead this team. I am deeply grateful to Art Rooney II and the late Ambassador Rooney for their trust and support. I am also thankful to the players who gave everything they had every day, and to the coaching staff and those commitments and dedications that made this journey so meaningful. I also want to thank Steelers Nation. Your passion, loyalty, and high expectations represent what makes this franchise truly special. Coaching in Pittsburgh is unlike anywhere else, and I'll always take great pride in having been a steward of this team. While this chapter comes to a close, my respect and love for the Pittsburgh Steelers will never change. I'm excited for what the future holds for this organization, and I will forever be grateful for my time coaching in Pittsburgh. As we said, not fired, would have to be traded, could take a year off, like you said, or go to TV, whatever he wants to do, it is there as well. So anywhere you think you could see him maybe going this year, or what do you think ultimately happens to him?
I mean, he can go to the Falcons, he can go to the Giants, he can go anywhere he wants, honestly. I don't think he's coming here. I don't see them trading him here. That would be crazy. So I think that's out the question. But I think I think he can go anywhere else in the league if he wants to, or he can sit out a year and wait for next year. He can do whatever he wants at this point. He's going to be highly coveted, very intelligent, great head coach, leader of men. Somebody's going to want to play for him. But yeah, he can go anywhere else except Baltimore. That is not. You will never see the Ravens and Steelers trading picks for a head coach with that team. That ain't happening. Definitely not.
And then up in Philly, Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator, is fired. 5th offensive coordinator in 5 years. 2 of them getting head coaching jobs, but no surprise there, Raj, in Philly with this happening and them going for another offensive coordinator.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you expect from Philadelphia. You expect them to be on their P's and Q's. You know, they won the Super Bowl last year, probably with that same offensive coordinator. But since they couldn't get out the wild card round, somebody got to pay for it, and he's the guy on the chopping block. So I'm pretty sure it probably isn't his fault, but it is his fault at the same time. So it is what it is. Philly's a tough place to coach at and coaching and play in. So you got to either bring your A game or you can get the F out.
Shane Steichen in 2022 went to be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Brian Johnson, 2023. Kellen Moore in 2024. Now with the Saints. And Kevin Patullo in 2025. Where is Brian Johnson at now? He was a big name. I don't know. I'm curious where he went. I got to look that up. But let's get to, and Fred Warner potentially could be practicing, Raj. This man's a freak of nature. He had a dislocated fractured right ankle on October 12th. I mean, they opened his window. Is he going to play this week, maybe?
Yes. You will see Fred Warner on the field this coming. Is it Saturday or Sunday?
They play on Saturday night.
You'll see him on Saturday night. He's going to try to give it a go. Motivate his team. He may not play, a lot of snaps, but just to get out there and give his team some confidence going into the game. You're definitely going to see Fred Warner try to give it a go on Saturday night.
All right, let's get to Raj. First time in 4 years, Steve Bisciotti had spoke. What were your expectations coming into hearing from him, and not only getting him, getting EDC as well? We know about the roster construction failures, the free agent misses, some of the draft questions, and just personnel decisions he's made over the past few years. Some good, but some questionable. How did you feel coming into this, and what did you want to hear from them as we got the press conference queued up? We're going to play through it and listen to it, as I haven't heard it yet, so we're going to watch it together and go through it. Go ahead, Raj.
All right. Going into it, I expected him to be asked hard questions from the media. I expected him to be candid, not have coach speak like how Harbaugh used to do and lie. Nah, he wasn't doing none of that. And I expected the Lamar questions to be answered, and about is he going to be the quarterback here next year? Are we going to get an extension done? I expected him to talk about the team itself and how they became 8-9. What did he think about that? Of course, the Harbaugh question, why did he fire him over the phone? I expected all these questions, bro. And this interview did not disappoint one bit. He answered every question, some good, some bad. But each question that he answered, he put his foot down. He let it be known that he is the man in charge of the Baltimore Ravens. Nobody else was in charge except him. He let that be known. And you got to watch it for yourself, man. But we're going to get into it, like you said, so you can start playing that first clip.
Yeah, let's get into it. I'll just run it, and then we'll stop it as needed.
Thank you for coming. Obviously, we don't do these very often. A lot of you have put your heart and soul into this team, and we appreciate most of it. I don't really have anything to tell you that's not going to come out in your questions. So if you've got anything, Eric?
Just thanks for coming, first of all. I think from my perspective, a very disappointing season, but also we see a great opportunity moving forward. We're very excited about this process ahead of us and building this team to be the very best we can be. Excited about that moving forward this spring. Our players are excited, and we plan on getting back to the standard that we've set. Questions?
Steve, good to talk to you.
Good to see you.
As far as whenever you fire a coach after 18 years, there's going to be a lot of speculation as to why and the reasons behind it. For you, what was the biggest reason that led to your decision, and when exactly did you make the decision to fire John Harbaugh?
I staked out a position that I thought I had come to, with a lot of thought and a lot of prayer, and gave it a lot of time to it. I mean, I think I talked to you 3-4 weeks ago, and there's it was, I guess the hardest part was the reasons, and unfortunately, most of these can't get traced back to John necessarily, but you factually, we led the league in giving up big leads in the fourth quarter. It's not something that winning organizations do. We have underperformed based on our seeding in the playoffs. Very disappointing. A lot of players involved, a lot of our great players involved, making mistakes that they don't make during the regular season very often. But I just thought it was something that in the last 10 years, we've won the third most games in the NFL. And yet people were saying we were underachievers. And so we were, and we had to own that. And I really can't tell you the actual time, Jameson, but sometime last week. I wasn't 100% sure until really after the loss, and fell on my instincts, and whatever I was feeling was right. I woke up Monday and I was pretty sure that I was going to do it. And I've got great partners here, and spent a lot of time with them and asking them their opinions, and I made the decision, and it was a hard one. And as you all know, in your life, timing is never right. You can't say that timing is perfect in anything. But I got to the point that I didn't believe that I would feel regret after I made that decision. And that's what instinct is. When you finally get to the point that you're pretty damn sure that you are not going to regret the decision a day or a week later, then that's the time to make the decision. Is that fair?
All right, I'm gonna stop there, Raj. A lot to take in. It seems like this was premeditated, discussed, and then confirmed after the happenings that happened on the field this season. He said he went with his instincts, prayed about it, talked to people, consulted people. Seems like he turned over every stone, and he realized and admitted the faults, the blown leads, the mishaps, the self-inflicted, the failures in the postseason. I do like hearing that from him because I never heard them admit to this bullshit.
Yeah, I told you he didn't pull any punches in this interview. And yeah, I mean, he knew what time it was. He could feel it. He saw it for himself. He talked to EDC about it. He said he talked to him about a month ago about it. And I'm pretty sure EDC was probably fighting back, like, look, give him some time. Don't do it. Wait. And he was like, well, I'm gonna give him some time. So he did. He thought about it, and then he came up to the decision that he came up to. But I mean, the writing was on the wall, man. Like I told you before, the writing was on the wall, and I don't fault him for what he was, for that. I'm glad he was candid on that part, and he was very clear about what his expectations are for this franchise. So he wasn't BSing around. He got straight to the point, and you can keep on going because he says more.
Okay.
Steve, did you speak with Lamar before you made the decision, and how would you characterize the influence he or other players' opinions on the situation had on your decision?
Yeah, I talked to a bunch of the veterans, and it's funny. As you all know, you've gotten to know Lamar about as well as I have, and Lamar is really, really a non-confrontational person. And when I spoke to him Monday night, he said to me, everybody's saying I got a problem with Monken. I don't really have a problem with Monken. I don't know where that comes from. And he said, and then I hear I've got a problem with Harbs, and I don't have a problem with Harbs. I don't know where that comes from. Do we got to make changes? Probably, but that's probably more for you and E. And I said, well, your opinion matters. And we talked about it. And but again, he was one of the many. I'm going to turn my phone off before it starts ringing.
That's Lamar. Is that Lamar calling right there,
didn't
bro?
put it on
Lamar
vibrate.
calling? Lamar said, yeah, I told you that.
And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think that the players had really a large part of my decision. My partners here probably had, that's an 80-20 thing. And I don't think I'd be a very good leader if I didn't ask the heads of the top players in my organization that have been here the longest. And you can bet they're the ones that have been here the longest. So, no, Lamar did not have an outsized part of my decision. My decision, I think, by Monday was pretty much set. And I think by the time I got off the phone with Lamar, I had told him that I think my position was pretty set, and that, but when I hang up from you, I don't want you to think the decision is ironclad. So that was Monday night.
Steve, right here. You've known John, obviously, a very long time. You're very close. Why the decision to fire him initially over the phone? And then secondly, what was the conversation, the gist of the conversation that you guys had a couple of days later?
Yeah, good question. I never in my mind, I never dreamed of firing somebody by phone. But the reality is, when I made my decision on Tuesday afternoon, I was home and he was in his car heading to his house. And I thought it would kind of be a jerk move to call him up and say, hey, coach, meet me at the office in an hour. I mean, he probably would have said, yeah, Steve, I'd rather not. Why don't you just tell me over the phone? And when I did tell him the decision that I made, I said, I'm really sorry about doing this over the phone. I wish we were together. And he said, you don't owe me an apology for that either. Did I answer your whole question?
The second part was just the gist of the conversation, longer conversation.
Yeah, it was interesting because, obviously it was emotional. And I'll be honest with you, most of that emotion came from me. I told my brother, I said it was the craziest firing in the world. I was the one choked up and he was the one consoling me. He said, you don't owe me anything. And you can picture, John, you don't owe me anything. He said, you gave me 18 years. He said, you picked a special teams guy. Who does that? He said, you altered mine and Ingrid's life forever because you took a chance on me. I am happy and content and disappointed, but I love you and I respect you and I respect your decision. And, at the time, it was not something that I was going to spend a lot of time with. And so, I called him on Thursday and I left a message and I said, hey, I'm around for the next few hours. I'd love to talk. And he texted me back. He said, I'll call you in about 30 minutes. And we had a really good conversation. And, interestingly, he didn't talk about the details. I talked about the negative narratives of things that we own together. And I said, John, probably one of the things that made it easier for me once I came to this conclusion is I didn't have to worry about whether you were going to land on your feet, because I think either your toes or your heels are already touching, and you're going to become the most sought after coach in years. And then I talked to him about taking a year off. I said, you know, you're 63 years old. Allison just went to law school. You're an empty nester. You know, if you go to work for somebody else, I get offset. So I'm saving a whole lot of money. But I'd be more than happy to give you a very expensive paid vacation for a year if you and Ingrid would pray on that and come to the decision that you could go out and travel and golf together. And rifle, she's a marksman now, and they do love to travel when they're free. And I said, you know, a whole year of that at 63 is a lot different than if you take another job, and that is 75. As we get older, you start realizing that, you know, 5-year chunks are changes in your life. And so I really, really, really would have hoped that he took a year off out of this crazy business that you work 80 hours a week and got a chance, because I said, like your friend Sean Payton, you'll still be the hottest coach next year. And you can do a little broadcasting and you can do a little traveling, and then you can get back into it. So sounds from what I'm reading now, he's not going to do that, but he's also interviewing in a real position of strength. So if he doesn't like what he sees and he doesn't like the organization once he digs in, you know, you can bet he's not going to take a job that doesn't have a quarterback. He's a little too young. He's a little too old to be sitting around saying, what's the draft look like? You know, and how many picks do you have? And let's start studying those college quarterbacks. So I only thought there was a couple jobs out there. I told him the one that I thought he could should take. And we'll see if I manifest correctly.
Any thoughts on that, Raj? I'll stop there. Sounds like it was a amicable split.
Yeah, I figured it was, man. When he fired him on the phone, I didn't think it was no bad blood or anything. These guys been knowing each other for the last 18 years. They're pretty much family at this point. They go on vacation together. They smoke together. They families celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving together. So I was not surprised when Steve said, "Look, yeah, I fired him over the phone, but you know, we had a whole conversation." John was very okay with it, and he understood, and everything is great between us. And you know, I mean, I just knew for a fact that, you know, that it wasn't going to be no bad blood between these guys, because these guys are professionals. They love each other, and you know, he talks about them glowingly all throughout the press conference. So I was very pleased to hear that. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad it wasn't no bad blood or anything like that, because John, you know, he didn't deserve to be, you know, thrown under the bus. Because let's be real, a lot of it is his fault, but a lot of it isn't his fault. He can't be on the field catching passes and blocking and all this other type stuff. He just coaches the team. So I thought it was a good sentiment for Steve Bisciotti to call, you know, talk to his friend and call him and you know, just make sure he was all right and okay. You know what I'm saying?
Make sure you hit that thumbs up, and all my people on X, come on over to YouTube. We're going to keep rolling through this. Let's get back to more Bisciotti.
Steve, this is only the second time you'll have to go through the process with your leadership team to hire a head coach. Because you've had so much success in 18 years, Are you essentially telling your next head coach, you need to get to the Super Bowl fast?
Well, it took Billick 2 years, John 5. Maybe I'll give this guy 6. I don't know. I mean, I hope we picked the kind of guy that's going to get us there. I think we have a roster that's capable of it. I think we have a GM that's capable of making that roster better on the fly. And yeah, I'll be patient to that point. Jerry, I'd probably give him 5 or 6 years, as long as I like everything else I see in him.
Eric, can you talk about how important it is for this organization to re-sign Lamar Jackson to a contract
there it is.
extension this
There it is.
offseason?
There you go, Raj.
Well, it would certainly give us more flexibility, cap-wise, roster building. I think that we've done a good job. We carried over this year almost $10 million, just over $10 million in money.
Can you be a travel advisor without quitting your 9 to 5? Actually, yes. We're Fora, the modern travel agents.
Probably double what we have in the last, however many years, I think. We do have a nice little nest egg. It's not as much as we'd like. A deal with Lamar would give us the ability to be more active, to re-sign some probably more players on the team and to potentially go after, a couple big ticket items. We haven't traditionally done that. We've been, as you know, more reserved when it comes to free agency. We like the amount of draft picks we have this year. We do have money to go out and re-sign guys, free agents that we have right now. Some good players, certainly. But having more money would be helpful for sure.
Steve?
Any thoughts on that, Raj? Pretty cut and dry.
You know how EDC is. He's not going to fully give it up like that. He's going to give you the nice little speech that's like, oh yeah, of course it would be very helpful that that we do it, but we can keep it moving. I'm
sure he's talking to Lamar now, like Bisciotti.
Oh yes, he's texting.
I know it's early days
Please,
in the coaching
Lamar,
search,
please,
but is there anything that you have decided that you want to prioritize in hiring the next coach, and is there anything that could be disqualifying for the successor to John?
No, it's kind of interesting because when we started focusing on this, the very first thing that I said to Eric and Sash was, unlike 18 years ago, I am very intrigued by coaches that were the hottest offensive and defensive coordinators 5, 6, 7 years ago in their cycles and got jobs and went to teams that were non-competitive and didn't have a quarterback. And they grind for 3 or 4 years, and they're caught up in the cycle of many of my partners that are turning these. I think it's average 4 years career, right? I think the head coach is about 4 years. As we proved, I think we've got a quarter out now, right? 8, 9. So, the one thing that I know that I will probably take it on the chin is if our final candidate is an ex-coach who has a losing record, and you all are going to have to understand that we are going to be able to judge that failure with his circumstances and marry that up and not disqualify them. So it's interesting you said, is there anything that's disqualifying? Where we are, I could say I'm disqualifying coaches with losing records, but I think you have to remember that they were the hottest coaches in their cycle, and they got jobs and they got tough jobs. And I don't think we have a tough job. I think that we got to we created the best opening in this cycle. And so that was the one category that I didn't want to ignore, because the first thing you all are going to say is, my God, he went 38 and 48 in his last job and they're hiring him. When Tony Dungy said, this is a bad decision and good luck finding someone better than John, I literally wanted to call Tony and say, you remember John 18 years ago? How can you take our success and use it against me while we're out trying to find the next John Harbaugh? That's impossible. So if I hire an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, none of y'all can say anything about his poor record the first time he was a head coach. And so it would be very easy for me to try and avoid those ex-head coaches because they have losing records. But I'm telling you, we are keen to their circumstances, and we won't let their first shot at a job influence us negatively for this one. As far as offensive and defensive coordinator, I really couldn't care because you're bringing in 3 people. So I don't think that it matters for our offense whether a defensive head coach brings in a whiz of an offensive coordinator or we fall in love with an offensive coordinator and hire him as a head coach, because he's going to go then back and get an offensive coordinator. And then what that brings up is who's going to call plays, right? Whether it's the coach that comes in as an offensive coordinator or the offensive coordinator he picks, which seems to be happening a lot lately. I mean, I believe we have a dozen or so that call their own plays, head coaches, right? On defense and offense, maybe more than a dozen. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Steve. Real quick, looks like the coaching search, he going lottie-dottie, everybody has an opportunity. He's trying to find the right guy. He's going to look at everybody. Think you on mute.
Yeah, I'm on. I put myself on mute because I
okay.
Know. But anyway, yeah, he ain't gonna play around with that. He wants to get the correct coach for this team, and it doesn't matter what your record was. If you're able and willing to better yourself, be a leader of men, you have an opportunity here. And I love how he addressed Tony Dungy's comment a week ago. He was like, "Look, I understand what you're saying, but who was John before us? Just a special teams guy with Philadelphia. You didn't even know about him like that. But now he's the man because we molded him into being one of the best coaches in NFL. So I think that was a shot, of course, to Tony, but it also was like clarity that says like, look, we could bring anybody here and it's going to be a good job for them. So if they come here, they're going to do very well. Basically, that's what he's pretty much saying.
Number 1 job on the market still, I think.
Yeah.
Let's hear some more.
When you make a decision like you did with John, the question is going to come about the general manager as well. What is your evaluation of Eric, especially coming off of this year and expectations for him? And also when you're making this hire, will the chain of command remain the same? Will GM and head coach both answer directly to the owner?
Yeah, that's a great question. The hits and misses in this business, I think you have to average them out. I think Eric's one of the best GMs in the league. And so I think he's batting 800. I'm just making up a number for you, but I'm not going to look at Eric's 200 whiffs. I'll look at his 800 singles and doubles and home runs. That to me, that's fair. I'm very, very pleased with Eric. I know that Eric has been very, very introspective about his failures and how they contributed to our dear friend being shown the door. And so nobody's harder on himself than Eric. So I think I can leave him alone for a while and focus on what we've got here with an empty chair. I'm sorry, what was your second question?
The other question was, will the chain of command remain the same?
That's a really good question, and I've talked to Sash about it. Haven't really talked to Eric about it. I don't spend nearly as much time around here as I did. But when I have both John and Eric Ozzy reporting to me. Oz, you here? Yeah. Wake up, Oz. It came naturally in 2008 that they would both report to me. And it never dawned on me. If Ozzy had come to me and said, "What do you mean John reports to you? I've been here forever. I've already built a Super Bowl team. I think he should report to me." I think I would have just said, "Yeah, okay." I don't think it really matters. The reason why I asked if you were here is I don't ever remember. The theory is you two battle it out, and if you ever come to a standoff, I'll be the tying vote. Did it ever happen? No. Not once. So I don't know that I need to burden Eric with that. I think that this is such a partnership that I don't think that power of one over the other is necessarily a good thing, because then the coach goes into every argument feeling like he doesn't have half the power. So I think it works, even though I work remotely, started long before COVID. I invented working remotely.
Steve, a two-part question. One, you kind of went into detail.
You guys are all good at two-part questions.
Cordell, by the way.
You get that microphone, you're not giving it up.
I said our boy Cordell. He should talk more often. He should talk more often.
Yes, Cordell has a two-part question.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what Cordell. Let's hear Cordell.
Trying to get them all in.
Yeah, all right.
You were just talking about, what you're looking for in coaches and what basically there aren't any disqualifications. I am curious, are you strictly looking at NFL head coaching candidates? Are you dismissing college coaches? And also, how much input will guys like Lamar and the veterans that you spoke to before moving on from John?
Well, I talked to Lamar last night, and I told him that he and I were both lucky because I found out in the nick of time that there is an NFL rule that if I did one Zoom with one of the 15, are you up to 15 now? 16. If I did one, I had to do them all. Now, working remotely makes that extremely difficult. And so I was luckily, you got me and said, you got to do them all. If you do one, I said, then I'm not doing this first one. So, and so like the first time, I want, 4, 5 candidates. To answer your college question, I really don't know. I don't know how hard that would be. I know that there's been a couple college coaches that have reached out to us. We did not reach out to college coaches. But if I was a college coach dealing with that portal in the NIL, I'd be at my doorstep. I can't imagine what these guys are going through. I'm friends with some college coaches, and it's a living hell. So if Eric's interested in the college coach, he's welcome to interview him, right? Second question. That's two-part.
The second one was about just how much feedback would you get from guys like Lamar and other leaders on the team in terms of their input on it?
I think that Eric made it clear to Lamar that when we get down here talking to him, I think he's texting Lamar after every interview, whether it's Zoom or in person. And I think he's getting some opinions from Lamar. I said to Lamar last night, when they call me up from Florida, you better get your ass up here too. Because if you want to do the interviewing, these are going to be full day meetings like they were 18 years ago. And they go from department to department to department, right? So I said to Lamar, you can jump on my plane or find another way to get up there. But if you're that interested, then we're going to get a schedule. He's going to call me up. He's going to offer you the same luxury. And I said, I hope you take it. And he said, yes, sir. I think I will. So we'll find out.
Got to stop right there real quick. How does that make you feel, Raj? He told him, get your ass up here. You need to be here all day in these meetings, seeing how this coach interacts with all the departments.
Bro, he has to be up here anyway because he has to get a contract extension. So you might as well be in these. And this is your team for the next however long you want to play. You're not going anywhere. You are the franchise quarterback. This is your squad. You get a chance to pick you get a chance to have input on who the head coach is. You got to bring your ass up here. I mean, that's common sense at this point. So I hopefully Lamar listens and he gets his butt on that plane and he's up here seeing, who's a good fit, who maybe not be a good fit for him, because this is all going to come down to if you want to win a ring or not. All of this comes down to that. So this is the process that you got to play with it. Steve broke it down perfectly, and he's letting people be known. Like, he's like, look, yes, Lamar has input. Yes, Lamar is talking to EDC about who he's hiring and who he's not hiring, or who he wants to bring in, who he doesn't want to bring in. Yes, he has input. So yeah, it is pretty much, on the table for him to come up here and try to figure out who the head coach is going to be for this squad coming up. So shout out to Stevie B for that, man. Steve know what he's doing, man. He know what he's doing. Motivating his quarterback.
Let's keep it rolling.
Steve, I just had these reports that Mike Tomlin has got terminated or stepped down.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Mike Tomlin stepped down at Pittsburgh.
He did? Is it official?
That's what I keep hearing. So is he a candidate here?
Holy shit, Mike. Wouldn't that be awesome? Only if John takes the Pittsburgh job. Wow. Wouldn't that be interesting? I don't know. That thing last week maybe disqualified him for my opening after our kicker missed a kick to let them advance. Good for Mike. Yeah, I don't know. Talk to him. I love Mike. I mean, I've admired Mike for 18 years, and that's really shocking that he did it that way. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. Didn't know that. I'll leave that to E. Wow.
Eric, this is a question for you or for Steve if he has one. We heard that Nnamdi Madubuike from John, he would provide his own update, but we haven't really gotten an update in a while. Do you still expect him to share what's going on, or do you have any update on his situation?
On John's situation? On Justin Madubuike, Nnamdi? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I can't really discuss that, obviously. I will say, not having Nnamdi this year was a horrible situation for our team. I think it affected us in different ways, in many ways. A great player, great person, special person. Still working through a lot of his, different ideas and things that we can hopefully get more and more information about his situation. But more than that, I think just I couldn't talk about specifics with him and his situation.
Eric, Steve kind of brought up your role with the roster construction and this season not going the way it did and the result that happened with Harbaugh. What do you see as the biggest roster failures and disappointments on your end with this team?
Well, honestly, when you underachieve, you can blame a lot of things. You look at a lot of situations and players. I think we didn't play consistently from game to game. Some games the offenses played well, the defense didn't perform well. Some halves the offense looked good, the defense didn't. Weak half to half. I think generally speaking, we've got to do a better job of creating pressure on defense. That will help the secondary. I think being complimentary on defense that way, getting after it, affecting the quarterback, affecting the pocket. Would be I think something big. I know the offensive line seemed to be a narrative this year. In some games I thought the line played well, in other games we struggled. I think we have pieces. I think we've got to be more consistent on the offensive line. We just didn't gel quite as much this year in that way. And yet I say that, and I think we led the league in rushing, maybe. And that was with less quarterback-driven runs. So I don't think it's one specific thing. I think we underachieved in as a scouting staff, as a coaching staff, as players. I think across the board, we have to own that, and I think we will. I think we're excited about it. We've been in this position before many times over the last 30 years where we've had to rebuild and tweak and change and adjust and really look at ourselves and say, what can we do better? I think it starts with me. It starts with the new coaching staff, and I think the players will be accountable as well.
I think the coaches have to take a lot of that too, because I think that sitting here last year, everybody said that it was our offensive line and our pass rushing because Eric had to replace 3 offensive linemen, and he did it, and it worked well. And I think we finished second in sacks last year after everybody was calling that our 2 weaknesses. We got in here and those are the exact same things that everybody said. I think Madubuike's part of the reason why Kyle Van Noy went from 10.5 12 sacks to 2. I think it was a domino effect. I think it was a trickle effect. I think Travis Jones being with Broderick gone and Metabike gone, God bless Travis. I think he did the very best he could. But if he had had Metabike next to him, he'd have been singled all year long. And instead, they were able to double him all year long. And so, and I think those offensive linemen didn't improve. And so when I said the coaches, that's what I meant. I think that you can look at a lot of guys on our team that we had expected to take the next step that did not take that next step. And we've got to get to the bottom of that with coaching and scouting.
Calling it like we see it, like we've been calling for the past few years, getting in offensive line, the coaches, the pass rush, everything.
Yeah, they took accountability, man. They knew exactly what it was. They've been at practice. They seen it with their own eyes. They watched the other teams. Quarterbacks have time in the pocket, like Aaron Rodgers did last week when he played us. Like, they knew what it was. And granted, Steve's right. You know, Metabike was a huge part of that defensive line, and why we didn't get that much pressure on a quarterback. But coaching played a major part in this, especially for the offensive line. They were second last year. Like, Falele was bad, but he wasn't as bad as he was this year. Voorhees was bad, but he wasn't as bad as he was this year. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't take the next step. They didn't get better. They got worse. So yeah, they knew exactly what it was. EDC said it right flat, and Steve made sure that he followed up and was like, look, a lot of our coaches didn't get better, and neither did our offensive or defensive line. So they know what they need to fix. They know what they need to do. They just got to get to doing it.
Let's hear some more.
Hey, Steve. Good to see you right here. As far as how important are fan voices when it comes to crafting big decisions? Did seeing empty seats at halftime at some of these games, or a primetime failure this year, after you guys go through all that you do to put on an incredible spectacle for that game, how important was that? And how do you gauge it? With social media, can be a really loud voice, and it can be, but a very small minority. How do you go about doing that, and how important is it?
It's not that important, Pete. I just don't know. I know the volume went up this year, and I know the majority of that turned on John. And I think it did affect me. It was one of the things that I'm putting together. And I'll be honest with you, when you say the effect it had, you know what effect it had on me? I couldn't stand people attacking my friend. So some of the stuff that they talked about with John ate me alive. And so, like I said, part of my feeling, like when my instinct says, now's the time, it was, I get to relieve John of all that crap too. And John gets to start anew, and John gets to be the everybody's number one choice to be that. And so I kind of thought again that there is never a good time, but we went backwards the last 3 years. That to me was a bigger thing, but they're putting that on John and John and John and John. And so, part of it to me was, if the narrative is that bad, then we need to shake it up. And again, knowing that John didn't have far to fall, it made it much easier for me to make that decision, right? Because I knew it wasn't going to hurt him that bad. And when I talked to him on Thursday, gosh, he was giving me advice to the Ravens, and I was giving him advice to these openings. And So, I mean, we're going to be friends forever. And now I know John went from being hammered by the press, and I don't know how much Ingrid reads, but I'm sure she does. We've got some protective mama bears out there that don't like their husbands being treated like that. But because it's so anonymous, it's really a major accumulation that I see there. But a lot of them are talking the truth, if you will. In other words, AFC Championship to division round to not making the playoffs, we own that. That's us. And so, unfortunately, John was the one to take it. But if I had fired Eric, he'd have been the hottest GM available in this cycle too. And so, John was the one to go. But it's not a major factor for me. It really isn't. It's our world here. And I think that I'm pretty good at keeping it in my major decisions close to home.
Any thoughts on that, Raj, when it comes to the fan outrage? He didn't tell us to sit at the end of the bar.
No, he pretty much he protected John. John did kind of cause a bit of that though when he said that comment. Like it was a running joke for like forever, it seems like. Or like how wide receivers were not, valued as much as other positions were here. But yeah, he brought a little bit of this on himself. He's always been like I said, he's a good coach. It's just that sometimes the fans didn't mesh with him because of his messaging, and then the snarkiness to the media at times, or the fact that he wouldn't admit that he was wrong a lot of the times. It's like a lot of stuff like that just was building up over the years, and a lot of it did get blamed. Placed at his feet for the blame. So, like he said, he was the one to take it, and he was the one to pay for it. Although it's collectively it's all of their faults. It's just he was the head coach, and he had a chance to try to rectify a lot of this, and he just couldn't do it, and it just kept going more and more out of control. And had he listened to some of his biggest critics, maybe he'd still be in this position right now. Maybe he might still be the head coach. We'll never know. But it's a learning lesson, man. Sometimes you don't know everything. Sometimes you need to listen to other people that might know a little bit more than you, or just get somebody else's input outside of the collective circle that you're in. So hopefully he learns in his next job, wherever he's coaching at, and caters to the crowd that's around them, and is a better coach. But over here, he screwed up the opportunity to actually build within the community and just listen to people's opinions. Like, everybody knew that Falele was not a good tackle. Voorhees was not good either. You could at least try Ben Cleveland at least one time, or put in the guard, the rookie. I can't think of his name. Emory Jones for a little bit more, or just start, or just have a rotation, something, anything, just to show that, all right, this is what we are going to do. This, we're going to try it to see if it works, because you never know, it might have would have worked, and maybe Lamar doesn't get hurt or whatnot. We'll never know, but it's just stuff like that helped him, get him up out of here. But you keep it moving.
Over 100 people in here. Make sure if you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, and if you're on X, go to YouTube, search the Flex Zone, breaking down the Steve Bisciotti, Eric DeCosta press conference, giving our opinions, reading between the lines. Let's get to it. Let's keep rolling. Hit the thumbs up and vote on a poll also that we have. Do you have trust in this ownership to get it right?
Question for Eric. As you go through this search process looking for the next head coach, what can you share about what's happening in order to conduct this search process, and what you're looking for as you narrow down the list to the group of finalists?
Well, fortunately, I think we were prepared, ahead of time, which was good. we started a day late compared to some of our opponents who started on Monday. We started really on Tuesday night. We want leaders. We want the best leader we can find. We want somebody who's going to hold the players accountable. We want somebody who's an expert in X's and O's. We want somebody who the players can relate to, but also somebody that's going to be firm and continue the culture that we've built, which we think is important. And as we've gone through our first 7 or 8 interviews that we've had, it's apparent that this is a job that coaches covet, number one. They appreciate the roster that we have. They admire this organization for the continuity that Steve and Mr. Modell before him put in place. And they see that this is really a destination place for coaches. So I think we're going to be in a good position. There's a lot of interest. I've never been through this process like this. I had no idea how many phone calls that I would get from people, agents, from coaches, people in the media, the national media, the local media. Like, there's just tremendous interest in this particular opportunity. And I feel very confident with our people, with our staff, with Steve, who's an expert in finding people, with Ozzie, who has done this before and found a Hall of Fame coach, along with Steve. Some of the other guys sitting up here, I'm very confident we're going to get the best coach to take us to the next step.
Steve, do you sense an urgency from Lamar to sign another extension? And are you 100% sold that you want him to be the central figure in the organization for the foreseeable future?
I want him to be my quarterback. Excuse me. I want him to be my quarterback. I told him his extension was, we had some mechanism to keep him in place last year that we don't, or 3 years ago, that we don't necessarily have now. So I need to make sure that there's only one way. If he doesn't want to do an extension, then we throw those $74 million out into void years, and Lamar's coming back at the same cap number he was last year. You can play with that money all you want. That's not what we want. We want another window, and Lamar knows that. And I think that he's amenable to doing something that mirrors the last deal he did, although the annual number will be a little higher. But I'm hoping that it's plug a new number in the same contract he signed last year and move on. And the urgency of that matters to me because we've got free agents, and I don't want to go into free agency with that hanging over our head. And I made that clear to Lamar, and I think he was very appreciative of my stance and hopefully willing to work with Eric and not get this thing dragged out into April like it was the last time.
Sounds like they want to get that deal done ASAP.
Yeah, he ain't playing around with that. He told Lamar last night, look, you already know what time it is. This is what you're going to get. You're going to be the highest paid quarterback in football and the parameters of the NFL. So get your behind on this plane. Come and talk to these coaches, sign your deal, do what you need to do in the off season and get ready to get back to work and work for, whoever's coming to coach you. He's trying to look, they're all trying to win championships. They're not playing around, man. We don't have time to. Lamar's 29 years old. Bisciotti is 65. I think EDC is almost 60. People are old around here, bro. We got to win now. No time to be playing around. So yeah, EDC was firm on his stance. He knows what time it is for Lamar. And he called him up and he let him know this is what it is. He ain't playing around. Ain't sugarcoating anything. You're my quarterback. Bottom line.
Let's hear some more.
Very hard for him to build a roster when that thing is not settled. So,
Steve, Garrett Dvorkin, the Business Journal. You spent many years running a staffing company. Are there any experiences or lessons that you learned from that chapter you can pull on with this coaching search?
You know, I think I used them 18 years ago to pick John. I've gotten a lot of nice texts from some of the leaders. Most of them are all retired by now. And those were those thin resume guys that I talked about when I introduced John and said, I made my life on people with thin resumes. No, I think most of my recent experience in the NFL, it will be what I'm looking for, because I kind of am a little more tied into what that means. Let me be clear. I am much more interested in the guys like Sasha and Eric and Ozzy that are working with this guy 70 hours a week than maybe I was back then. You know, I was much more engaged. I was engaged in the NFL. I had risen to the top of the committees in the broadcast committee and digital media committee. And, you know, back then probably thought my participation was going to, I dreamed of a gold jacket like the Maras and the Rooneys. And that kind of dissipated as I realized that I was maybe being untrue to my wife when I told her that when I bought this team, I would treat it like more of a hobby than a business. And I think I found myself maybe treating it a lot more like a business. And again, putting family second. And so there was a time in 10, 11, 12 when I realized that in order to earn a gold jacket as an owner, you better be putting in those 70-hour weeks. And I wasn't willing to do that. So when I stepped back from that, and I'm very happy I did, I had enough time to care about the Ravens, and I figured the NFL could survive without me. And so I want very much this person to be picked by Eric and Oz and Sash more than me. When I come in, when they call me in for these 5, I'm going to already know why they love them. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to give just them my honest opinions, my reservations, if there are any, on individuals that may be a red flag that they didn't see. So I would hope that when I spend a lot of time with these people, that I might unearth some things, which I think I'm really good at, unearthing some details that maybe others missed. And I think that I'd like to feed that into them. And if it changes their top 5, you know, then great. And if it doesn't, I want these guys to be partners. I mean, what John and Eric and Ozzy went through these last 10 years, I love John like a brother, but I didn't work side by side with him all day long. And so I know that this is the hardest thing that we've ever had to do. And I don't think any one of you think we blame John completely for our falling off our quest for Super Bowls.
Hey, Steve.
Bisciotti going to use that personnel background to play his part when it gets down to the finals? It's like they're going to narrow it down to 5.
He's pretty much telling you, like, I do not want to be a part of this process. I'm going to let you guys do it. I'm going to let you guys pick this guy, whoever it is. He's going to be a part of the family, a part of the trio or whatever. And then once y'all pick him, y'all say he's good, then I'm going to come down, shake his hand, you know, vibe with him a little bit, and then go back up to where I want to go back up to, and then I'm going to chill out. He's pretty much saying like he's going to be a part of it. He's the final decision maker, but he wants to give EDC, Ozzy, and Sashi, you know, the power to. I don't know why I did that. He wants to give Ozzy, Sasha, and EDC the power to do what they need to do to make a decision. And he wants to play the background role. He doesn't want to be part of day to day like he was back in the day. He wants to go back, play, and do his thing and hang out from the balcony where Batman is, and just play the field. So yeah, he's gonna let them do what they need to do, and he's gonna make the final decision because he's the final boss. Get it? The final boss. Yeah. All right, I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
Over here. I do have a two-part question for you.
I knew you would, Jerry. I'm surprised you didn't have a four-part question.
That the whole man?
If they would allow me, I would. If Tyler Loop makes that field goal, is John Harbaugh still here coaching this team?
For a week.
For a week, okay. And then I guess a follow-up, because it's been a while. What was your role? What was your input with the whole Justin Tucker situation and how that went down and led to Tyler Loop being here? We haven't heard from you about that, so I was anxious to hear.
None.
When the reports came out, how did you take all that? What was your reaction, and how did you?
Deferred to Eric and John.
Do you think if Justin were here, it would have been different?
No.
Fair enough.
Well, you're laughing over that, man. You got the whole man asking questions. Jerry Coleman, by the way, for those who don't know, Aloysius, long time, been here since the first coach was hired.
Yes, he's
been him and Preston, his boy.
Yes, they both are lifelong Ravens reporters. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't matter. He told you, he was like, okay, John would have made it, to Houston. If they lost against Houston, he still would have been fired. Like, his mind was made up, bro. Like, he knew what he wanted, and John was not producing it. It didn't matter where he got to. His ass was getting fired if he did not produce a Super Bowl championship at this point. So I thought that was hilarious when he said that a week. And then the Luke thing and Justin Tucker thing, he was like, I'm not answering that. I don't got time for that. That's what EDC and Sashi and Ozzy are here for. I do not care.
And that's a good group. EDC, Ozzy, and Sashi. I like that threesome to get it done.
Yeah.
I mean, you mean I think you would have made the kick? Yeah, maybe.
How do you know?
Huh?
How do you know?
How do you know?
Eric.
I feel terrible for
Yes.
Tyler. He's going to be a great kicker. He's going to learn from this. Every one of them have learned from those mistakes. It's a terrible job. I mean, terrible job in the NFL. It really is. You have to work twice as hard to earn people's respect, and then they can hate you in a second. And so I think that kid's resilient enough from what I've learned. He'll be our kicker next year.
He did a great job. Came in big shoes, a lot of pressure. He had a great season.
Eric, this one's for you. Is there a timeline that you have in mind while you're doing several of these head coaching interviews throughout the next week or so? Just because in the sense that they have to then create their own staff as well, I guess, which is sort of assumed, but is that the case if there a timeline just because everything that happens afterwards as well?
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking of this process like it's a 3-week NFL draft. And, I've been through a lot of drafts, and so this is expedited, certainly. But I think we are trying to get as many interviews done as we can. I've never been a part of this, only once, and we interviewed a much smaller amount of people back then. We didn't have the ability back then to even use Zoom, didn't know what Zoom was. Rules right now kind of force us into that Zoom world. And so we're taking advantage of it. I've learned a ton of football, a lot of stuff in the last week. I think my partners would say the same thing. It's been a fascinating process. We've got, I think another 8 interviews, maybe 9 interviews between now and, believe it or not, Sunday. And maybe a couple more after that. And then we'll kind of take that list of 15 to 20 interviews, candidates, whittle that down to, 4 or 5, try to assemble as a group and figure out, the 5 guys that really resonate with us, that have the most qualities that we're looking for. Craft what that schedule might look like, bring those guys in again for a day. We've had a couple guys on site. But, bring those other 5 candidates in, talk to them with maybe a few other people in the loop as well. And then see if we can find a candidate. I think staffing wise, again, given the rules, very hard for coaches to really fill out their staffs until really around the Super Bowl. It's challenging, and now it's not as easy as it used to be in a lot of different ways. I go back to when Seattle hired Mike McDonald. They waited until after we played in the AFC Championship to interview him for the first time. So we're ahead of the game, I think, in many ways. We've talked to some really good candidates. We've asked them about assistant coaches. That's typically a question that you might ask. What's your staff going to look like? We've been able to get a lot of good information on what their coaching staffs might look like. And then the strategy for us is to really look at, and again, I think it's not just the head coach. It's who is his coordinators? What are they going to look like? Offensive line coach, secondary coach, and find the right combination of coaches that make us better.
Steve, you mentioned having some level of patience for the new coach.
Is this for me?
Yes, Steve.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You mentioned having some level of patience for the new head coach. So what will your measures of success be to determine if things are moving forward as you envision for the organization?
Well, if we fail, then I'll assess his contribution to that failure. Because like I said, this is an all hands on deck. When we fail together. And so, it's Eric's job to mentor him and guide him in our culture. Hope he understands it and can add to that culture. What we do on the field, it will play a role, but I certainly hope to get back to the playoffs, and I certainly hope to overachieve. It's really hard for me because I'm not doing this to be back like some of my partners doing this every 3 or 4 years. I mean, to me, that's hell on earth. So we're going to make it. We're going to make it right, and we're going to make it so right that we're going to have a lot of patience. Is that fair to say? We're going to be so confident in our choice that we're going to grant him a decent amount of patience.
Decent amount of patience, a nice leash, so not too much pressure on the new coach probably coming in.
Yeah, not too much pressure, but you cannot come in here failing either. So you got a roster that's going to get it done.
Better get to the playoffs at least.
Play your position and do what you need to do. Because this year was a failure. This year was an economical failure. 8 and 9 is not nothing that you need to be concerned with as a Ravens team. You know what I watched today? I was watching First Take, and guess what Stephen A was doing? His his top, what was it? What you call it? Stephen's A list.
Oh, your favorite thing?
Yes. And guess what the topic was? The 5 most disappointing teams in the NFL. And guess who number 1 was? The Ravens. So yeah, we cannot be the number 1 disappointing team going forward. We got to continue to improve. And whoever they pick, they have a lot of responsibility. They're going to have some patience for them, but you have one of the best quarterbacks in football. You at least better make the playoffs. And you at least better have a home playoff game doing it. So there you go.
Let's finish this out. We're almost at the end, people.
For Eric, it seems like you've been in touch with Lamar a lot, it sounds like. And I'm curious, the communication between Lamar and the coaching staff, was that where it needed to be this past season, do you think? And I guess how much of a priority is that when you're sort of going through your interview process with prospective coaches?
Well, I think communication can always be better. I mean, just if you think you're a great communicator, then you need to be a better communicator. You have to over communicate. I believe in that. And I think sometimes maybe people will get sick of the fact that I might say, make sure we do this, make sure we do this, make sure we do this. What do you think about this? And it has to be that way. And I think with players especially, they're looking for feedback. They want to have a voice. but you've also got to encourage the feedback and encourage the voice and work and set expectations and hold people accountable every single day. And that's what the most successful organizations do on a consistent basis, whether that's with your star quarterback or your third string inside linebacker. You've got to set expectations, hold players accountable, create foster a relationship where they love this place and love this culture. And football is the most important thing in their lives. And that starts with our scouts selecting the right players, our coaches coaching these players, developing these players, and our players living up to the faith that we put in them.
Steve, right here. How's it going? Alex Glaze, WJZ. You mentioned Eric and Ozzie and Sashi being involved in this process. Those are guys obviously you're very familiar with. When you're interviewing candidates, how important is familiarity to this organization? Or do you believe like a fresh start completely is something that's needed?
Yeah, that's a really cool question. And it's like we've interviewed people that have been with us like Anthony Weaver. And I would think that he would be pretty impressive in his interview because of the time he spent here. So you're kind of handicapping fairly a person that has seen us from afar, but has no intimate knowledge of us. And I think Eric's really good at handicapping that knowledge to the lack of knowledge, right? So I would hope that Eric's not swayed by someone who has a lot of knowledge of an organization. I hope they don't take the pole position because they might be a better interview because they have such intimate knowledge. I think Eric's pretty smart and capable of handicapping that knowledge and taking it out of it when he's looking at them as equals.
Hi, Steve. Kyle Goon from the Baltimore Banner. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you've said in the past you don't view the Ravens as a family sort of heirloom, sort of have some urgency and desire. And obviously you don't make a change like you did with John without feeling sort of competitive fire. So it's clear that you're feeling that. What's sort of your current vision of how your ownership will progress and your ownership, what your ownership looks like in the next 10 to 15 years based on how you're feeling now?
I'll be 80, Kyle. I don't see myself being, I mean, all my friends, all my favorite people in the league 25 years ago were younger than I am now. And so when I watch Jerry and Bob, I mean, I still love them to death. They've always been there for me. They were younger than I was when I met them and joined this league. So I know that's always been a topic of conversation. How long am I going to? Because I kind of always said, I don't think, well, I'm not passing it down to the family. I made that decision 25 years ago. I don't think that's healthy for my family. I've seen families feud and ruin over these damn teams, and I was determined not to do it. But when I watch guys like Art Blank and Steve Ross and Jerry Jones, and Jerry talking about what part of his anatomy he would give up for a Super Bowl at 83 years old, I don't want to be there. I really don't. I want to win a couple Super Bowls and get the hell out. I'd love that to be in the next 10 years when I'm 75. That's my dream. If I got one of the top teams at 75, I'll probably stay till 76. So I'll probably bail somewhere around 10 years from now when I have a really bad season or back-to-back seasons. And he'll probably be coming with me.
10 more years of Bisciotti? Old Biscuit?
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. Not for the foreseeable future. But yeah, he said it. He's like, after a certain point, I'm going to sell the team. Just not right now, but after a certain point, I ain't gonna be in my family. I don't want my family, arguing over this franchise. We're gonna hopefully. I just hope that whoever he sells it to keeps the damn team here, okay, and runs it correctly. That's all I care about. Just if you want, when you sell it to a person that's here, wants to keep the team here, and wants to do right by the team. As long as you do that, because we don't want no Woody Johnsons here, we don't want no Jerry Joneses here. We want people that are competent and run a franchise correctly. So whenever his time is up, his time is up. But yeah, man, I mean, I agree with him to a certain extent. You know, get what you can get and get up out of there. And if you can get another ring or two, yeah, you'll probably be in the Hall of Fame as an owner anyway. But you already got 2 now, so I mean, you get a couple more. I mean, you have 3 or 4, and then boom.
Let's finish this last 10 minutes out.
Right. Eric said he's not a lifer either, so.
Eric, Kevin Richardson with the Baltimore Sun. You talked about the importance of someone rushing the pass rushers and how that affects the defense. Would you be open to trades in the first or second round to get that young stud that can affect your whole defense?
You know, I'm never opposed to getting an elite player. You know, we almost made a trade at the trade deadline. We tried to make a trade, and we didn't get it done. But I do think that, you know, I think a lot about these kind of situations, and it's not that draft capital, right? It's not, which is always a lot. It's you're giving up a lot of times multiple first-round picks. It's the combination of the draft capital and the salary, which in some ways, you know, it's prohibitive. And I also think that, you know, when you get into that mindset that you're one player away, you're ripe to be fooled. And we see it every year when teams make some of these blockbuster trades. You know, oftentimes they end up going the other way, and you just can look at teams. There's so many factors when that happens. I still believe the best way of building the team is, you know, through the draft, because I've seen Ozzie do it so many years and do it at a Hall of Fame level. We will participate in free agency, and we will trade for players. We've done that. It's got to be right player, right price. If there's a elite Hall of Fame type talent that's available that we think can come in and be, as Steve likes to call them, game wreckers, we look at that. We consider that very strongly. But to do that for a really, really good player and have to pay the exorbitant price and also give up all the draft pick capital, that can set your franchise back for a long time, as we've seen.
All right, we'll do 2 more, Jameson, and then Ken will close out.
Steve, you did mention that you invited Lamar to come up for the interviews if he wants to the final round of interviews and everything. When it's all said and done, how much of a say will Lamar have in the head coach selection?
A lot of say, but he has no power. I have the power. They have opinions, and I want them all. I care about my players very much, but I can't give them power.
Steve, there was a time when fans looked forward to hearing from you all the time. I think we called it State of the Ravens. We used to hear from you just about every year. Why did you stop? And can we look forward to hearing more from you in the future?
Like Seinfeld, I ran out of good material. I had to retire, and then he goes out, and next thing you know, he's doing like 80 shows a year. It's like, Jerry, I thought you were retired. So I don't know. I just always felt like if I put these guys in charge and they got us to the playoffs, look, they gave me and I appreciate the local guys and like Jeff and Jameson, who are in national publications, but the majority of their focus is on us. And the national guys don't look at us as in crisis. And I think the closer you get to us, you see crisis by us failing right now. I just got to the point that I didn't see the benefit of sitting up here and dissecting losing in the division round. To me, it wasn't fair, because it was the leaders that were making the decisions that were going to give you the best information. And I think one time I got up here and they said, how close were you to firing John Harbaugh? And it was like, that was about the time I decided that I don't need to be up here, because I thought that your questions were so narrow to an owner of a team that had made it to the division round that I just didn't think it was fair. I was probably going to put my foot in my mouth, which I'm really good at doing that too. And I just bailed. I just kind of said to you guys, when we don't make the playoffs, I'll be there for you. But when we make the playoffs, I'm just going to leave it to my specialists to explain it all to you and what their plan is forward. And then interestingly enough, this is happening right now, and it would usually happen right now. And, we haven't been to Jupiter, and that's when I will grill my leaders on their plan. They will have 2 more, 3 more, 5 more weeks. Now, this could be different. I mean, we may be doing Jupiter in April for all I know. And Eric's going to go, I don't got time for that. It's the draft. She was in
I will say that.
I know. Trust me, I know. So I don't know when we're going to do it. Maybe we'll skip Jupiter this year. But that's why. It wasn't a mean-spirited thing, I promise you. I quite like being up here talking to you all. I know how much time you put into our team, and I appreciate it very much. And so don't be fooled by my absence that I have lost my respect and appreciation for this being your job, your whole job. And you want answers. And I will tell you today, the respect that I've heard here is off the charts. Like, I read Jameson's analysis and anatomy of the thing. I read Jeff's. I think you could put that all together and publish it and just say, you got all your answers, because they're fair-minded guys. They've been with here forever. They're my 2 favorites because they're the 2 longest. Well, Mike, I'll throw you in there. You've been there as long as they have. So you're just a little meaner sometimes. So maybe you're in 3rd place. Okay. But I'll give you, out of respect for your tenure, I'll give you 3rd place. I love your love and your passion for my team. And what I heard today was people that I really believe came in here open-minded and willing to give us the benefit of the doubt. And I want you to know how much I appreciate that, because what I was most worried about was that you want to get into the details. And I've got some little things that rubbed me the wrong way for a long time, and you put them in the back of your head, and then you get closer, and then you start failing, and then you bring back things that bothered you, and you do it to justify coming to the conclusion that now is the time. And I just hope you respect me enough to know that I 100%, my instincts told me this was the time. And I may be right, I may be wrong, but I did it because I'm in charge of doing it. And your lack of digging into details saved us a lot of time, because I would have told you, this is like you all interviewing me and saying, let's talk about your divorce with your wife of 18 years. And can you tell me all the little things that like really built up to, we love John like a brother. And it was really the most difficult decision that we made, right? But we made it. And the fact that you all are willing to just say, I don't need to hear any of the sort of details. It's the big picture. We want the Ravens to succeed. I felt it was the right time to make the change. If not now, when? I guess is what I'm saying. Next year, I heard that we were contemplating, I wasn't even the decision maker, contemplating replacing the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. And that may have been the final nail in the coffin. I thought, if I'm already here and my gut is telling me it's time. Why would I let John rebuild an entire staff? Because I'm going to be sitting here next year saying, what the hell did I do last year? Last year was the time. So it wouldn't have been fair, because I think we had run our course. And if I didn't have the guts to say to my partners, you're on the fence and I'm on the fence and I'm slipping on this side, and I believe that your love for John and your respect for John is holding you back this much. I need you to move this much. I tried to take my love and respect of John out of it, and it's his best friend. So I don't know that he could. And I admire him for it, but I had to look at them and say, you're pretty close to me. You're not there. I'm going to push you over the edge. I'm going to make the decision. And I made the decision by myself. And they understood. We had already talked about why I was there. And I didn't need them to come to my side of the fence for me to make this tough decision. So it was a wonderful, wonderful marriage. We accomplished great things. The next coach we get, I want him to be a Super Bowl winning coach too. And God bless him if he can rise up to the level John did and be staring at a gold jacket. So that's our job. We take it serious. And thank you, all right, for being professional enough to know how hard this was for us.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right, Raj. There you have it. The entire Steve Bisciotti and Eric DeCosta press conference, Raj. Any final thoughts, recaps? How you feeling?
I mean, I'm glad I listened to it again. I missed a little tidbits of what he was saying because I was going back and forth the first time, but he laid it out. He laid it all out there, bro. Like, there was no questions that needed to be asked afterwards. Every question was answered. He let it be known that he was the man to make that decision, that he fired him. And we're going in a different direction. And as you can see, we just got Brian Flores interview done. So that's a good thing. Hopefully he answered all the questions that needed to be answered towards him. But yeah, man, the process is going to process. Is a long time coming for the Ravens. Steve made the right decision to do it now. He didn't let his judgment or anything else get in the way of making a decision. And like you said, when they asked him, why haven't you been doing the State of the Ravens like last several seasons? He pretty much said, because I didn't want these type of questions answered. He was gonna let John and EDC and Sashi and Ozzy delegate towards themselves and come up with a plan. He didn't want to do it. And he didn't feel like he needed to do it because he was going to get, questions like that, going his way. And then that probably would have, made a judgment call that he didn't want to make. So he did what he needed to do. He gave John a lot of leeway. They're still friends. They're still family. They still hang out with each other and, all that good stuff. And John will be in the Hall of Fame, like he said at the end. So the Ravens got a lot of work to do. They're pretty much doing it as we speak, and they're gonna get right, man. I got a lot of faith that Eric is gonna come through and find a head coach that's gonna help this team, get to where they need to get to, as far as being in the Super Bowl and hopefully winning championships. I have a good feeling that they know what they're doing, and they're taking this very, very seriously. Especially after the season that we had, man. Like this season, the 30th season probably was one of the worst seasons in franchise history, outside of the the 5-11s and the first couple of years of the Ravens being in existence. This might have been like one of the worst years to be a Ravens fan, because they lost to damn near everybody that had a winning record except the Bears and the Packers. But everybody else, they got their ass kicked. So I love the press conference that Steve did. I'm glad that he, gave his 2 cents and put his foot down on a lot of things. And he let it be known that he is the man that runs this franchise. Although you might not see him, you might not hear from him, you could feel the power that was being dished out in front of the media today. So hats off to them for doing this. I'm glad that they did it, and I'm glad that we have a clear direction of where this is going, and hopefully they continue to keep us in a loop of what's going on as far as who's going to be the head coach, Lamar's contract, who they might be looking at in the draft, and this, that, and the forward. But like I said, they got to find a head coach first to figure out who that is, who their staff is, and then after that, Lamar's contract, and then probably after the Super Bowl, you got my favorite event, ninjas and underwear, the underwear Olympics, as you like to call it. They got to do that, and then free agency comes, and then we're going to figure out who's going to be a free agent, who's going to stay with the Ravens, who's going to leave. And then we got, the draft, and then mini camp, and then training camp, and then boom, we right back at it again for next season. So a lot of work to do. And EDC is going to find a way to get it done. So I have faith, and the Ravens are going to do what they need to do.
All right, Raj, let the people know what to do to keep up with us. Over 150 plus in the venue.
Please, if you're on X, man, if y'all enjoyed the content, come over to come over to YouTube. Hit the Flex Zone podcast and hit the like and subscribe button. I mean, we love y'all on X. We're glad y'all watching on X. But we need y'all to come over to YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. Check out our other videos. This is what we do. We do content for Ravens, Commanders, wrestling. We do a lot of content. So just check us out over there and let us know what you think, and hit the bell for notifications so you can come to YouTube instead of X.
Appreciate you, Raj, rocking out with me, listening to the press conference. We'll be live tonight for NXT. What happens with the vacated NXT Championship from Obafemi. Tomorrow, Maximum Carnage, Dynamite, MJF, and Bandito in AEW World Championship. And Thursday, we go AMC. That's right, the debut of TNA on AMC. What do they have the offer on that big show on their new network? We'll be live for the first episode. SmackDown on Friday. More content in between. We'll be live this weekend covering the divisional round matchups, and Monday doing it all again. Anything else for the people, Raj, before we get out of here?
Nope, that is pretty much it. Hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day.
Appreciate it. We'll be in tune with the latest updates to the coaching search right here on the Flex On Podcast. Only place giving you sports how you want it.
When you need it.
Throw your ones up, acknowledge us, hit the poll, vote. Let us know if you trust in the ownership. Hit the super chat, donate, cash app, flexon1@gmail.com, social media, the Flex Zone 1, watching on X, come on over to YouTube. We're getting out of here. We'll see you for NXT tomorrow or tonight, and more content tomorrow as well. Thank you for watching. Everybody in the chat, Miss Queen, Dawn, who else was in here? We had Alex, we had Doug. So appreciate each one of you. Donna, thank you for watching. We're getting out of here. We'll see you later. Peace.